Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. All members are present. Approval of the agenda. We have two changes to the agenda. 6A, the Police Department monthly report will not happen. And an addition of 7F, accept resignation with the ambulance department. Are there any other changes, council? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with those two changes?
Motion and seconded.
Motion by Heidi, second by Dave. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the March 2nd, 2016 regular meeting. All received them in your packet. Or is there any questions, corrections, clarification? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes of the March 2nd, 2016 regular meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Now is our time for our public open forum, which we absolutely have no one here due to the basketball.
3 times, Mr. Mayor.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak?
You have to call.
I know we do.
Motion to
Is there-
dispense with 3 times this.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak? Oh, we do have one.
There's an echo.
I would just like to point out that Sauk Center is ahead 44-23. Thank you.
Go Streeters.
All right.
You forgot to state your name.
Yes, and your address. Anonymous.
No one else would like to speak? Our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings. Reports and presentations. Planning Commission report. Try to keep up.
Brian. Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packet, we had a meeting March 9th, I believe. 8th. And we did discuss, we had no public hearings, a short monthly building permit report. You do have an action item before you this evening about an ordinance establishing a 1-year moratorium on the placement of cargo containers within the city. And then we also had some unfinished business about discussing the comprehensive plan. And we just got a brief listing of some of the cost estimates and time frame. And out of 10 engineering firms that I did contact via email, I received about 7 or 8 back. And the price range is anywhere from $25,000 to $125,000, depending on what you want. And the time frames are all pretty much consistent between 12 months to 18 months. So we are still kind of, working on that. I had no new business, and there were some informational items where the League of Minnesota Cities Safety and Loss Control Workshops that will be held throughout the months of March and April. And I also attended, and Matt attended, the floodplain and shoreline management training today at Sauk Rapids. There any questions?
You stated they're redoing the floodplain maps again?
There is a possibility. That will be, yes,
Okay.
down at the federal level.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Airport report?
Okay, the airport board met in regular session on Wednesday, March 9th. They had a few items on their agenda. They did authorize the final payment for the fuel pump upgrade, and then that'll be reimbursed through MnDOT at 60%. They received the updated information on the runway improvements, kind of a timeline and where we're at with that. That is for the rehab project. They'll expect the final design for approval in May. It'll go to the park board and then, or the airport board, and then it will come to the city council. That will go out to bids, but it will not be awarded until a grant is for sure. But we need the bids to apply for the grant, but we can't award the bid unless we get the grant. So it's kind of a unique way of writing up the bids. The grant agreement is expected in July. If we have the grant agreement by the 1st of August, we expect construction in 2016. If it comes later in August, we probably won't construct till 17. So the project is still called a 2016-17 project. We're not sure yet when that will happen, but we do expect to have final design in May, and then you'll see a lot more of what that design is going to include. They received the closeout report for the environmental assessment project for the runway. That was mostly paperwork that we were having done, and it had to do with all the environmental impacts. They also discussed the impact on the farmland rental agreements due to the property tax provisions. The farmers that are renting the land from the city, there's 4 different farmers that are renting 4 different parcels, 2 of which are in the airport. And because the county is now going to be charging property tax to those farmers because they use the land for income purposes, of course, they're coming around and saying, well, now that impacts how much rent they would be willing to pay. So all 4 rental contracts will be up for some type of negotiation once those final numbers are known and what their property taxes are. One of them is the public utilities, so they will be having that discussion as well. And also, they've invited the members to attend the Minnesota Council of Airports Conference this spring. So that's it for the airport. I have no action items tonight from them.
One question, Vicki, on bidding for the projects.
Yes.
To go along with the grant, do the people that are bidding on those contracts, do they understand that that would just,
Oh, yes,
you know, is
they're
their
very
bid
specific.
good long enough to make it through that?
Yeah, they're very specific how the grants have to be written, and this is pretty common. The reason that ours is that way is because there's discretionary funding outside of our allotment that will be utilized, and the FAA has told us that we rank really high to get that, but until it's for sure, we're certainly not going to award the bid. So the bids are written specifically to state that these provisions are in there, and then they just allow for that in their bidding.
Okay. So there isn't like a 60, my bid's good for 90 days, and if it goes past, the price is going to change.
Well, when we approve the plans and specs in May and you start bidding in June and July, we open the bids about the same time as we expect the grant. So the time frame is, within 90 days, they would know either way.
Okay.
But it's specifically written in there, so.
Okay. Any other questions for Vicki on that? Okay. Operations Committee report?
The Operations Committee met on Thursday, March 10th, and these include council members Keith Johnson and Dave Thomas. They discussed the mill and overlay project bids because we had opened those earlier in the day. That is an action item later. They reviewed the bids for the crack fill project for various streets and the trail, which is also an action item. And the third item is they discussed the proposed purchase of the pumper truck for the fire department. And we have an action item there simply to authorize them to go out and kind of formalize it a little bit more and bring it back to the council. So all 3 items of the Operations Committee are action items this evening.
Okay. Questions? Comments? Okay. With that, we will move on to our action items. Approved boards and commissions, HRA.
In the HRA, it's our one board that doesn't run January to December. It runs beginning April 1st and expires March 31st each year. We do have the term of Mike Felling is expiring on March 31st. It is a 5-year term, and he has requested to be reappointed for the next 5 years, and he is the only one that has submitted a nomination. So we're asking the council to appoint Mike Felling to the position on the HR board for a 5-year term effective April 1st, 2016, and ending March 31st, 2021.
Questions? Comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to appoint Mike Felling to the position on the HRA board?
So moved.
A motion by Keith, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approve ordinance 766, establishing a moratorium on cargo containers.
At the Planning Commission meeting, as Sarah stated on March 8th, the commission discussed and is recommending that the City Council adopt a moratorium on the placement of cargo containers in the city. The usage of cargo containers for storage, garages, homes has become very popular, and we do not have an ordinance in place to effectively manage how and where they should be utilized. Therefore, we're recommending a moratorium while the Planning Commission works to determine what management, if anything, is necessary. And as you drive around the city, you see them popping up more and more. I think we drove yesterday and saw 12 of them. So these are things that are coming into town, and exactly what do we expect of those, and what should be done, and should they be managed, and that's what the Planning Commission will be wrestling with. So for you tonight, we have an action request of approving ordinance 766, adopting a moratorium on the placement of cargo containers in the city.
Questions?
This does not pertain to businesses that would receive their shipments in.
It's not for shipments that come and go. This is for people that bring the cargo containers in, and they're sitting there and they're using them
Yeah.
for storage, or, you know, they're using them like a garage, basically.
So business shouldn't be hindered by a moratorium on.
I don't know how many actually receive things in a cargo container and then it gets picked up and hauled away, you know? It's not that. And those aren't the ones that we're really having a concern about,
Sure.
so.
Those that are already here, obviously are going to
Those that are here, they're here. That's why we want to inventory what's here, make sure those people know that the moratorium's in place so they don't bring more. And we'll work on it, and we'll get another. We don't expect it to take as long. I mean, a moratorium is kind of naturally done for a year. I don't expect it to take that long to do it, but we do want to be able to look at it closely and see what we should do.
You know, I've never inspected those. Is there a latch to get out of them if you're locked in from the inside?
I can't say. I don't know.
I have no idea.
You know, that could be a public safety thing
Yep.
too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, 'cause I know there are some around town. This applies also to the industrial park.
It would. It would apply everywhere.
Was the vote unanimous on the planning commission then, or was it split?
It was. It was unanimous.
Good. Okay, thank you.
I know I had asked Sarah, and I don't know if you had a chance to, but I was wondering, you know, say so-and-so's got 9 of them sitting there, and we do the moratorium, and all of a sudden 2 more show up. What are we gonna do? What kind of penalty are we looking at, or how, you know, if all of a sudden they do it, regardless of the moratorium?
Because this is an ordinance of the city, it has the same penalty as any other ordinance. You know, they can be ticketed. It really is a violation. That's why we need to reach out to them and make sure they're aware that the moratorium has been adopted.
And
And,
that penalty is?
The penalty is it can be a misdemeanor or it can be administrative fine.
It
That's
can be a what, or what was the first one?
It can be prosecuted as a misdemeanor on the criminal side or administratively, and that administrative fine is $100.
One time.
Per day.
It's actually a violation each and every day. We haven't necessarily enforced it that way, you know, because usually it
Alright.
gets their attention.
Well, yeah.
Because I don't see like.
If it turns into a license to have one for $100 a year, I don't want to go that route.
No, and I don't, you know, I don't have a problem with moratorium as long as we got some teeth behind it.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
if we can't do anything about it and due process takes longer than what we got
Yeah.
the moratorium for, you know, we're kind of wasting our time.
Yeah.
But, the other thing is, and I don't know, just probably in the works when we do the ordinance, are we gonna allow the ones that are already here be grandfathered in so they can stay? Or are we totally gonna eliminate them?
That's the problem, that we didn't regulate them, and so they came in without a restriction when they came in. So they came in legally, and so they would be grandfathered in,
Okay.
so. And, you know, there's some cities that have worked with them to get them removed. And as far, you know, and I don't know, Sarah, if you found out anything differently, but, you know, in the moratoriums that I've worked for, you know, you draw a line in the sand today, you're grandfathered in up to this date, moving forward, you can't do it for this period of time, and then we'll have some management in place after that.
And then if any of yours leave, they don't come back.
If they leave, then they can't come back.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Comments? Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 766 adopting a moratorium on the placement of cargo containers in the city?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Keith, second by Dave. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approve resolution 2016-25 accepting quote for mill and overlay.
According to previous council action, which you took a couple meetings ago, we did obtain bids for a mill and overlay of State Road. It's from the north intersection with Lilac down to where the previous overlay was done south of the Wobegon Trail. Bids were opened on March 10th and reviewed by the Operations Committee. I have them laid out for you, how many we received, anywhere from $71,000 to $121,000. After review of the bids for accuracy, the bid from Mark Lee Construction is the apparent low bidder and is recommended to the City Council for award. And I do have the complete breakdown of the bid specs and the prices for per ton of asphalt and how all the different ways that we broke it out. So we did check the math and make sure that they were all accurate. So what we're looking for tonight is to approve Resolution 2016-25, awarding the bid to Mark Lee Construction for the mill and overlay project. And then we will establish a contract with him that will have timelines and those types of things in there, and how the inspection will occur, you know, as far as inspecting the asphalt and those types of things. And that'll come with the contract.
Is this, when are we planning on, or I suppose on their schedule? I was just wondering how it's going to affect school traffic.
We're going to make sure we have it done after school. Ideally, it would be great in that 2-week period where nothing happens right after school gets out. But we can't guarantee that would be probably what we would shoot for. And, but if not, you know, we'll make sure to get it as close as we can outside of their busy time.
And also one of the things is when we get toward the end of July, we got the parade line up for St. Clair Lewis Days in that same area, so that would...
We take out a calendar and we write everything that we can think of in there and we try to schedule it.
Okay. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2016-25 awarding bid to Mark Lee Construction for mill and overlay project?
So
No.
Motion by Heidi, second.
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approve Resolution 2016-26 accepting quote for crack filling.
We also, at that same time, advertised for bids for crack filling for various streets and the Park Road Trail. We're looking about, I think, about 8,900 lineal feet of roadway that we would be doing and about 5,000 pounds of material. We did bid it out by the pound, and you will see that we got 5 bids, ranging from $1.35 a pound to $3.50 a pound. So we had quite a range. All Things Asphalt of Sauk Center was the apparent low bidder at $1.35. For the amount of work we're proposing, the total cost would be $6,700. And if we do decide to extend that bid a little bit, or the project a little bit, it would be at the $1.35 rate. And that's why we bid it out per pound. Because once you get into a project, sometimes they can be a little more or a little less, and that gives us a number to add or subtract. So what we're looking to do tonight was to approve Resolution 2016-26, awarding the bid to All Things Asphalt for the 2016 crack filling project at $1.35 per pound for a total estimated cost of $6,700.
Questions? I guess they're from Sauk Center?
Yes.
Are they fairly new? I've never...
They've been doing it about 4 years now.
Oh, okay.
Black Angus, wasn't it?
Yes, it was Black Angus.
Oh, okay, that's the reason why. All right. And we've worked with them before?
We have worked them, not in a big contract, but they've come and done some,
Lots, haven't they?
they've done some lots, but they've did some supply, or some, they've given us, what do you want to call it? Demonstrations, I would say. They've done areas of the road to show what they can do.
Okay, all right. Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2016-26, awarding bid to All Things Asphalt for the 2016 crack filling project at $1.35 per pound for a total estimated cost of $6,700?
So moved.
We have a motion by Dave. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Approve Resolution 2016-27, authorizing development of plans and specs.
This would be the plans and specs for the proposed purchase of a fire pumper. The city fire department, we currently have 7 trucks that we utilize for fire and rescue purposes, and I listed them there because sometimes you don't get to see them a lot, and they talk at the meeting, number 4, number 1, number 2. Well, this is number 1 through 7 and what the trucks all are. The truck that we're looking at to replace is unit number 2. It's a 1981 pumper. It's been in service with the city of Sauk Center for 35 years. And it's recommended to be replaced by the department. The replacement vehicle that they are proposing to purchase is expected to be in service for the next 35 to 40 years. Fire Chief John Egan met with the Operations Committee. The proposal is to firm up specifications for the truck and get estimated costs. Following that, they will bring the plans and specifications to the City Council for approval, and will be asking at that time to solicit formal bids both through competitive bidding and cooperative purchasing. Then the Finance Committee will meet to discuss how funding could occur. The preliminary cost estimate is $400,000, the majority of which would be paid for with cash reserves that the fire department currently has on hand. The action requested tonight is to get approval to develop the plans and specifications to be brought before the City Council prior to bid. So I don't know if anybody had any questions or if you on the committee had any more to add to that. But we're asking to approve Resolution 2016-27, authorizing the development of plans and specs for the fire pumper.
Questions, comments? Dave, Keith? Nothing? Okay.
Replace an old truck.
Yeah, there's a few special touches they want, but nothing out of what the company hasn't done before, so.
All right. Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2016-27, authorizing development of plans and specs for fire pumper?
So moved.
A motion by Keith. Do I have a second? Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7F, accept resignation from the ambulance department.
The ambulance department has received and brought to me a resignation that was submitted to them. Mike Pepping has submitted his resignation effective March 31st. And this is out of his letter. He stated, "After a lot of thinking due to health issues and other problems, I'm making one of the hardest decisions of my life. As of 3/31/2016, after almost 30 years of being part of the best ambulance service in the state, I will be turning in my resignation. I am proud and feel very privileged to have been a part of this crew. You were like family to me, and will be deeply missed. Keep up the great work." So this was brought to my attention by Kathy Strufert, and Mike has been trying to stay on until he hit his 30th anniversary, but he thought now was the time to go. So we are requesting tonight to accept the resignation of Mike Pepping from the Sauk Center Ambulance Crew, effective March 31st, 2016.
Questions, comments? The only thing is I've known Mike most of my life, and when he said it was one of the hardest decisions he ever made, it is. He really feels like he's losing part of his life by not being on this crew, so.
Done a great job.
And anyone that puts that amount of time in that type of a volunteer service, I think deserves a very huge thank you from the city, so. Do I have a motion to accept the resignation of Mike Pepping from the Sauk Center Ambulance Crew effective March 31st, 2016?
So moved.
We have a motion by Dave. Do I have a second?
Second.
Heidi is the second. Any other comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Unfinished business, library wall repair / investigation.
I'm just bringing you a little bit of update on the library wall. As you know, at the lower level of the library, we have some of the stucco that's coming off the wall, and we were trying to investigate what the issue was, and the Great Regional Library System was very concerned that there may be mold in there, and they were concerned for their patrons and for their staff. So we worked with Resource Training and Solutions. That's who we purchase our health insurance co-op that we are a part of. And we brought Air Tamarack Services out, which they do mold investigations. And they met there, and they were on site with Matt, and they went through the library, and We have determined that we're okay with the mold side of it, but they did help us identify where water intrusion is part of the problem. Mostly it is in the front of the building to the left of the door, between the door and the book drop, in that area right there. Water is getting into the wall, and it's just getting moist and damp, and that's why the stucco and the other repairs that we had done previously are letting loose. So our first plan of attack is to seal that all up, get the water diverted away from the building, and when that's done, we'll get in there and get the wall repaired, and we should be back to where we should be. So that was good news that they didn't find the mold that was suspected by the library system. They're happy to hear that there wasn't mold in there, and we'll just move forward. And hopefully, I think it's been repaired before, but I don't believe the cause was repaired before. So now that we're sure of what the cause is, we can take care of that first, and then hopefully it'll be the last time we have to repair the wall. So just kind of an update. If anybody wants to see the full report with pictures, I can forward it to you on your email. So I have no action. It was information only at this time.
Any questions or anything from the council? Okay. We have no new business. That takes us to our consent agenda. We have the schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $159,705.55. Paid claims of $499.90 for a total of $160,205.45. January checks totaling $351,883.61. We also have Resolution 2016-28, accepting contributions from the Men's Card Playing Group of $199.46 to be contributed toward the Senior Center. I want to thank that group for their donation. We also have a gambling application for exempt permit request from Knights of Columbus, number 4863, for a raffle and bingo on July 27th through 31st, 2016 at the Stearns County Fairgrounds. Are there any questions, comments about the consent calendar? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Diane. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Informational items. Audit of 2015 financial statements.
Last week, the week of March 7th, we had several of the auditors from Clifton Larson Allen. They were on site conducting an audit of the financial statements. Thank you, Keith. I believe you were the one this year that got selected to come in and visit with them on behalf of the City Council. The formal report will be to the council before May. Because they're an auditing firm, of course, you know they're very busy through April 15th. And then they'll get the reports together. But our statements are pretty well done. It's just the matter of the formal report to come before the council will happen in May. So, information only.
Okay, questions about that? Anything? It's quite the experience, isn't it, Keith?
I'm glad I'm here.
That brings us to the end of our meeting, or our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Dave, second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.